My name is the expert. I was once called Jose Summers, an intelligent humanoid with great inventing skills. With these skills, I invented the time machine. Sadly, this all changed when my creation, known as the cycle, started to fade. In an act of desperation, I reached into my creation and gave it my hand. A part of my soul became one with the cycle. I became knocked out and woke up somewhere unusual. There was a sudden pause, then a bright light hovering above me, then two voices. They called me the expert. I met my best friend, Serpentio. He showed me around this new utopia. I met an all-white man, claiming to be a god. Apparently, they called him the legend. He made me gain reputation and positive feedback from all citizens. I began creating tapes to end all my days, though many of them got lost. One night, I snuck into the library to return a book I signed out. Suddenly, another hardcover caught my eye, called The Return to Reality. This book wasn't just a friendly story, this book was informative about every other reality. It seems like one thing created this, and it was my creation. I brought it back to my dwelling, where I shared a space with Serpentio. I showed Serpentio this book, and all the other realities listed, millions of realities unexplored, calling our names. Only me and Serpentio could go, but it said the legend had the key to unlock the portal. Me and Serpentio went on this elaborate plan to get the key from him, and it worked. I immediately made a keyhole for it in my time machine. But me and Serpentio got into a little fight, as I worried he would become unstable in the reality shift. This fight got the legend's attention. And we ripped every page while fighting over the book. The legend then told me to leave. I refused, then punched him. This caused a riot, and everyone began to hunt me down. After lots of running, I jumped out of a window and fell, causing the locals to deem me as presumed dead. Unfortunately for them, I didn't fall to my death. This is when I noticed I am immune to pain. I then found an opening to finally get back to the utopian society. Though it was dusk, it was time to escape for good. Someone was in my room. I had to get him out. I strangled this man after he jumped at me and shoved him into my closet. It was my first blood. Now it was time to leave, and I left swiftly. But the key broke and my time machine didn't travel me to any dimension I wanted. I landed in a forest, a golden forest. This forest was full of life and shining with happiness. Once I landed, I met a person named Crimson Forests. This boy turned into my apprentice. Nothing much happened after Reality 47, so it will be a quick retelling of my story. After a few months in the Golden Forest, I burn it down, bringing my kill count to over 1,000. Sadly, this wonderful place never shined again. The forests were scattered, which wasn't too good for them. And I never saw Crimson again. I walked away from the burning forest and departed Reality 33. After Reality 33, I crashed into Reality 28, an apocalyptic reality where nothing really mattered anymore. Shortly after I arrived, I saved a man who was starving and was poor for all of his life. I gave him all my riches from my award-winning creations. I soon learned this man's name was Flaco Hernandez. He became the richest person I have ever met with piles of gold and money bags flooding his home. He built himself a mansion with the money and zombie defenses. It seems in this reality, zombies roamed the streets and caused this place to turn into a barren wasteland. Then, Flaco became corrupted by his wealth. Fortunately, it was time to complete my unfinished business. Reality 47, where my journey began. I wore a hood now, covering my green glowing crystals. Immediately when I returned, I could feel something brand new. There was a broadcast about me. This explained how I could still be at large. I was a fugitive in this reality now, yet I created it. The public began retaliating against their own creator. I finally faced the legend. We fought for a while, until I got him to surrender. He was on the ground. Then he was about to call for backup, but I shot him and destroyed his voice box. Then he grabbed a piece of paper and wrote, "The legend will stop you." This explained that he was a fake legend and not the one who is said to stop me. After this, I jumped out of the window and watched him be helpless. The walkie-talkie went off, but there was no answer. Then they rushed into the room, but I was already gone. Soon after that, I returned to my actual home. Back to my everyday life. When I did, it was dusk once again, a raging thunderstorm over the city. I called this place, Reality 68, something I never did before. I had no mask, and I tried to be Jose Summers again. My face was pale and gloomy, and it felt as if what I saw was true images and I was there. I started to see hallucinations of what I saw from all those different realities created by my cycle. This became very quickly concerning. I decided to see a doctor, which she asked me a series of questions. She asked me if I was alone in my household and I said my sister, Samantha, was still alive. I then learned Samantha Summers, the outgoing and courageous woman who would never give up and achieve her goals, killed herself while I was away. My mother also went missing and was never found. I was alone. But I didn't feel like it. The doctor diagnosed me with schizophrenia. It was truly devastating news. I tried to cope with the fact that I was mentally insane by sitting and watching the sunset, but those images filled my head again. And voices became imminent, chanting, "The expert." There truly was no escape. I tried to sleep that night but was woken up by a dark blurry figure with glowing purple horns. I thought I was having sleep paralysis, which I thankfully wasn't. I could move, and I stood up and turned on the light in my bedroom. I could see it had white eyes, with purple horns. It looked like me. The voices came back, "Punch it." They screamed, so I punched the figure, which it then lunged back at me and gouged my eyeball out. Suddenly I found myself in a white room with this thing, then the room turning all colors of the rainbow while he beat me to death. Then, I remembered something. I am the expert, I don't die. I wind up back in the place, the cycle's version of Reality 68. I fought the being until we landed, which he then charged into me and disappeared. Nobody was there, but I still flew backwards. This time, it was more in the future. There were buildings and other structures. Like Tyrone Jerome, a man who hustled for most of his life, and Flaco was there too, the richest man alive. I learned that him and Tyrone were rivals, Flaco scamming every poor customer, and always smoking cigarettes. This place truly felt like home. I also recruited a few of my own people. We established the name, them. This was an organization for peace. That didn't last very long though, because one terrible night I had another vision. This vision was about how powerless I really was back in my real home. I thought about how powerful I could really be if I tried. But I didn't want to let that power get to me. I tried to live a normal life among these people, like I did before. Until I spotted Harvey Forrests, a man from the Golden Forest. He was very old, but he was still a threat to me as he knew who I really was. Then I saw something, a new hero who was stopping every antagonistic person in his path. Yes, this is someone I knew. This was the legend. It was then my dream to meet him. When that figure charged at me, my horns turned purple. Which I learned from looking into a mirror. Luckily, there was a low profile for all of that. Until a member of my organization found my tape, the first tape I ever created. This was alarming for me, but not too concerning. I immediately said I was trying to find the expert, and I was given the nickname Almighty. A few more months passed, and I created a teleporter to teleport wherever I wanted in one reality. A member of my organization, them, suddenly found one of my time machines. This one didn't have the reality key split. They tried to use it but couldn't figure out how the reality shift worked. They all wanted to find the expert and never had any leads to go off from. I was brilliant, so I covered all my tracks. This search problem became a growing concern and was non-stop. But I didn't let that worry me too much. Now, they don't like the expert and they want to kill him for his crimes. But I get a good signal. From Reality 47, I found him. A lead on the legend. Someone wanted to use time travel to stop a keen event from happening, but I rigged this time machine. He used it, and he was sent into the wrong reality, Reality 28. Now, it was time to find the legend. On the way, I discovered a very interesting weapon. It was a dagger that only someone with the technique could use. It was the weapon I would use to kill any of my threats, but then I discovered. The legend was apparently in Reality 68, so I headed there first. This whole time, there were two purpled horned people, that figure, and me. Then that was it, I finally found the legend. I finally had a lead on the legend. It was time to go find him. I wanted to put my dagger's blade right into his skull. He was considered a threat to all I live for, so he had to be terminated. I finally met the legend a few more months later. At a crashed unidentified flying object is where he stood. With another partner of his, a blue man with a square head. This was a god, but I am a god too. I immediately took control of the situation and eliminated this other god, taking in the legend and a member of my organization. I escorted them to a prison, where they would stay for a brief time. Then, another joined in, which they were all sent to do chores for me. I was finally in control. This didn't last long when one of them broke out, and then two others came to rescue the legend and the visionary. One was Serpentio. I thought he was dead. The visionary was one of my old members, but I erased his memories of ever truly seeing me. He was also the only one left. Once they broke out, I got to plotting how to kill the legend. My original plan wasn't to kill him, since he seemed harmless. But I soon learned that man wasn't harmless at all. He had to be killed for me to thrive once again. I then met with the legend and fought him a few times, just to slow him down. Until one day they found the cycle but didn't know how to destroy it. That was when I was pushed into my creation, which led to a lot of pain. When I was pushed in, all I saw was darkness, then light, then all colors of the rainbow flashing around me. Then him, the figure I saw when I was sent back to this place. He kicked me around again, while I couldn't move at all. Until he pushed me through the opening, sending me back to where the legend could be. Reality 68, my body was weak, my cycle was powered off, and my clothes were teared, with blood stained on them. But then it hit me, my creation wasn't destroyed, it was just powered off. It reminded me that I still had a chance. I put my hand in the cycle again, while it took my green tainted skin off one arm. I gave the cycle more power. After this, I confronted the legend again. I was ruthless. We battled for a while, and I got intel from someone who went by the name Black. She told me the legend and his little group found refuge somewhere, which I already knew about. I was there before. It was a nice little place where they would build things and plan to kill me. I showed up one day and spoke to the legend. But this time, it was time to hit him hard. I paid a visit to my old friend Serpentio. He was having tea, but tea didn't stop anything. I never forgave him for ratting me out, so I plunged my dagger into his chest, while he bled and screamed for help. But nobody came. He then became unconscious, so I took him to their refuge and made sure he stayed alive, until they got there. I wanted the legend and his friend to watch their other friend bleed out, while I laughed. Serpentio deserved to suffer. Then I learned the legend put him out of his misery. This man was very unhinged and wanted to kill people, or so he told me. I never knew if he was being very honest, but I always believed him. Then the legend's friends left him to die in my world and I taunted him for a while. Until he didn't die. Instead, he found a way to get right back to the cycle and made up with his friends. Now it was time to confront the legend, one last time. I jumped into the cycle, and we fought. As we fought, the environment around us would constantly change. The legend also had his little sidekick with him, a green kid, like someone I met before. But that someone wasn't important for this. I eliminated the green kid and paralyzed him. Then after a long battle, the legend finally got me. Then, purple mist swung around me as I was immobilized, while I stared at the legend as he began to fade away. I told him that I was still the boss of him. He stared into my soulless, white eyes. Then, he faded away. Then that figure appeared again, but this time he didn't beat me to death. The figure gave me a hug and then waved goodbye. Once that figure grabbed me, I could move again. I quickly escaped the cycle as it began to collapse even more significantly. As the color slowly was drained and everything turned white, I fled before my creation exploded. But the legend beat me so bad that I lost my immortality status, and my mask was cracked. As I plan to find him again, I wonder. Is everything meant to last forever?